What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Chasing Health podcast. Hope you guys are having a fantastic week. It's Friday. If you're listening to this the day it's coming out, it is Friday, here to another weekend. And it's actually what we're diving into in today's topic is how to stay on track on the weekends. Let me ask you this, guys. How many of you guys do really, really good Monday through Friday, or maybe even Monday to Thursday? But when it comes to the weekend, that's when all hell breaks loose, right? That's that's when the parties happen. That's when the events come up. That's when your friends invite you out to have dinner and drinks. That's when you're out running around the town, and that's when you're making the long weekend trips and all the things, all the different reasons that you could come up with of why it's hard to stay on track on the weekends. So on today's episode, we're going to dive into multiple different strategies on how to stay on track throughout the weekends. So if that is something you struggle with, highly recommend you listen to this episode. Two quick things before we dive into today's episode. If you have not checked out last week's episode, I had on the fitness director of Men's Health magazine, Ebenezer Samuel. Guys, how cool was that? I'm sorry, a little humble brag, but little old me just looks back at who I was years ago, not even in the fitness space. And now I've had the fitness director of Men's Health on my podcast. What the hell is this? This is crazy. But sorry, little subtle brag, but just I'm very humbled about this entire experience. And it's just amazing the types of connections that I've been able to make throughout this entire process and coaching. But guys, we talked about making the most out of your time, especially when it comes to workouts. So definitely go check out that episode that was published last week. I will actually link that into the show notes as well if you want to check that out. Secondly, if you are listening to this on Friday the 15th, the day it releases, or maybe a day or two afterwards, over the weekend, I want to make sure to mention, in case you were not registered already, I'm hosting a free 3-day Fat Loss Accelerator Masterclass. And guys, I'm literally telling you exactly how my clients get the results that they get. They lose weight, heal their relationship with themselves, food, and exercise, and most importantly, how they keep the weight loss off afterwards. You will not want to miss this. Guys, this is going to be the best thing I've ever done for free. Not even kidding, you guys. The link to register is down below. And even if you can't attend live, still register because you will get all the replays sent to your email right after they are done. This will not be live streamed anywhere. It won't be in the Facebook group. It won't be on Instagram. It won't be on just regular Facebook. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just for those exclusively who have registered for the masterclass. So I cannot wait to see you there. Come ready to participate. And listen, the more you put into this, the more you're going to get out of it, because this will change someone's life. I can guarantee it. If you want to lose weight and you are ready to change your life, I can guarantee you this webinar will change your life without a doubt. All right, so enough on that. So guys, back to talking about staying on track throughout the weekend. And so just a little backstory. I'm gonna try to keep this what should I call it? A rant down to a minimum here. But as I was getting ready for this episode, I always do a little bit of research, just kind of bouncing around online and figuring out some other strategies, just in case, I think it's important to always utilize all your resources out there, because there's probably something out there that I haven't never tried, or maybe I've never heard of, that might be a great idea. So I'm always kind of perusing around on Google, the good old Google machine, to figure out what any other tips and things I want to share with you guys. And I was on this website, and at first the article looked pretty good. And actually the website looked very official. It looked very well put together, very professional. And it definitely caught my eye. And I started reading the article. And I kid you not, guys, this bullshit, part of my language, of a sentence popped up. And was talking about ways to overcome overeating and binging on the weekends. And I actually took a screenshot of it and I sent it to my buddy Brevin. And I was like, am I reading this right? Am I just taking this out of context? Am I actually reading what I think I'm reading? And he assured me that I was, and it just blew my mind. These people were saying that and I'm quoting this right here, on the day of the binge, get a weight-based HIIT session, HIIT meaning high intensity interval training, session in. You'll want to go hard here to benefit from EPOC, which is excessive post oxygen consumption exercise. It's basically the afterburner effect of exercise. Are you kidding me, guys? Guys, if you binge eat, you're telling me that you should go do extra cardio, go extra hard in your workouts to make up for this? You already have a shitty relationship with food because you're binge eating, right? So what makes sense to take that relationship you've already struggling with food and then go make yourself do extra cardio, sweat your ass off, and kill yourself in the gym as punishment for the workout, or for the food you just ate. It's awful. Please don't do that. Guys, if you ever binge eat, if you ever overeat, whatever you want to call it and how you want to look at it, the only thing you have to do is go right back to a normal day. There's no need to over-restrict. There's no need to do extra cardio. Just get back to normal. All right. I could go on more with that. I really could. It got me heated. It makes me so upset that this BS garbage advice is out there for you guys. But the one good thing that's telling me is if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to get the no BS approach to fat loss. And so at least you're in good hands here. So appreciate you guys listening. All right, enough of my venting. I'm going to go on to how to stay on track throughout the weekends. So guys, where a lot of people struggle on the weekends is they have no sort of structure or consistency throughout their weekend. Try to make your weekend as structured as similar to a weekday. Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean you need to go balls to the wall and just eat out whatever you want, not do anything else you would do during the week. Guys, keep your normal routines. Keep your normal habits. If you have a bedtime that you follow throughout the week and a normal wake-up time you follow throughout the week, I encourage you to stick with that during the weekend. Because your sleep plays a very large role in hunger and cravings. Do your normal workouts. If you normally work out on the weekend, schedule your workouts ahead of time. Find out when you're going to make time for that workout. Even if it's just 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I mean, Ebenezer last week was telling us about the 7-minute workout. Guys, you can make time for this. And then also your walks. Go for your walk. If you're someone who makes it a non-negotiable for yourself to go for a walk every day, stick with that. Don't give up on it just because it's the weekend. Keep drinking your water. Stay hydrated. Cook at home as much as you can. Now, granted, it's different. Guys, I'm talking about now this episode. Now, I want to remind you, this episode is like a normal weekend at home. I'm not talking about the weekend, the long weekend when you go down to the beach 4 hours away from home and spend the weekend in a hotel. That's a completely different situation. Different topic, different types of tactics to achieve that and be successful through that. But if you were just at home the weekend, just doing some running around, cook at home as much as you can. Meal prep, do whatever it means that keeps you successful. You know, a lot of people do their meal prep on Sundays, but try to cook food at home instead of always feeling like, oh, well, we're out and about already, so we might as well just eat out, go for dinner. Let's go grab some dinner out tonight. Oh, well, we're swinging by, we're going shopping out on, this place in town near the pizza place, so let's grab a pizza for on the way home, and we'll take it home with us. Guys, that's just making it harder to stick to your goals throughout the weekend if you're putting up all these other areas to, have to wiggle around other types of food that you normally aren't eating when it's during the week. Another thing that I would ask you is, are you being too restrictive during the week? Being too perfect? Remember the 80-20 rule. Guys, 80%-ish, 80-85% of your food should be wholesome, nutritious, good foods. And the other 20% are the fun foods, things you want, enjoy, things you don't mind to have, the side of fries, the pizza, the ice cream, the candy bar. That's your 20% or 15% of your time. But if you're only allowing those 20% foods on the weekend and you're labeling them as bad foods throughout the week and you're on your diet, so you have to manage things better during the weekday, but then you're building up so many cravings and you're saving it all towards the weekend, and then you just go bonkers on the weekend, right? I know that happens to a lot of us. So try to allow yourself to have those things throughout the week. I mean, there's actually a client that I'm working with now. I actually gave her an assignment, and I'm not going to call out her name, but You know who I'm talking to if you're listening to this, and shout out to you. You're doing an amazing job with this so far. But I'm having her pretty much work a treat in every day because it came to a point when she was feeling too restricted towards, trying to stick to her diet. And I don't want you to feel super restricted. Of course, you're dieting, so a little hunger is normal. A little bit of sense of not being able to splurge as much as normal. But if you're feeling super restricted, then we need to change something. So we have her working in a small piece of candy or some ice cream every day or whatever it may be that she enjoys. That way, it doesn't come to the weekend when you have that weekend out or whatever it may be, you feel like splurging all the time, right? Also, set some goals for your weekend. Something super small, but it gives you that sense of control, right? Have one home cooked dinner either Saturday or Sunday. If you're somebody who's always going out to eat every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, make it a goal for yourself that one of those has to be cooked at home. Or how about sub out, one or two alcoholic beverages? Maybe if you're someone who's drinking all throughout the weekend, maybe sub one or two or a few of those out for water or a diet soda, 0-calorie beverage. Maybe you set a goal for yourself that whenever you go out to eat on the weekends, you're ordering a side salad or some veggies as your side instead of the fries or instead of whatever other, carb and fat. Because most of the time, guys, we all know it's easier to get your carbs and fats when you're ordering out somewhere, right? So make a conscious effort to have a vegetable or a side salad with that. And again, make it a goal if you're someone who makes a goal to go for a walk every day, continue those walks through the weekend. Even if it's the first thing you get up in the morning just to eat the frog, right? That's something that I've talked about in the past is eating the frog, doing the hard thing first. That way it's done throughout the day, right? Start your day off strong. Guys, you wouldn't believe what it means if you start your day off strong, either with a workout, going for a walk, having a healthy breakfast, how you start your day a lot of times carries forward into the rest of your day. So start out strong. Another idea is make non-eating social plans. Go for a hike, go to the pool, go to the zoo with your kids, go meet up for coffee with somebody, go for a walk or run with your friends, river tubing if it's during the summertime, or sledding if it's the winter if you have snow, or go sightseeing, just driving around with some people, family or friends. Sure, food may come up during those times, but make this more about the memories themselves, right? Next, don't skip meals. When you are planning for a big meal, let's say you're going to a cookout on a Saturday night, the last thing you want to do, and I've talked about this on a couple of podcasts ago, so I don't want to drill into this too much, but don't save all your calories for that meal. Don't skip breakfast, skip lunch, because, I'm going to have a ton of calories for dinner. Because then what's going to happen, guys, is you're going to go to that cookout and you're going to be so freaking hungry that you're going to eat everything that you get your hands on because you haven't had anything throughout the day. You can eat a lighter breakfast, a lighter lunch, focus on protein, focus on your micronutrients, your fruits and veggies, your colors during those meals, and then that way you can enjoy your dinner. And this one's really important, guys. Don't let a rough Friday night out with the girls, or whatever situation may be, beers with the guys, turn into a snowball throughout the rest of your weekend. Ditch that all or nothing mentality. Continuing to eat junk food all weekend because of one choice is like slashing your tires because you had one flat tire. Or it's you forgot to brush your teeth on Thursday night, so you just say, oh well, I'll wait till Monday. Guys, that doesn't make sense. So why are we doing this with our diet? Back on track, the next meal. I had Matt McClaw, another nutrition coach and trainer in this space, on the podcast a few weeks back, or maybe a month or so ago. And one thing he talks a lot about on his social media, which I love, is no 2 meals off in a row. Meaning if you have breakfast, let's say you go out to eat for breakfast and you have the big old stack of pancakes, you enjoy yourself, have a great time. Awesome. I love it. Lunch, back on track. Or if you're going out for dinner one night and you have a really big dinner, you love it, you had an amazing time, back on track the next meal, which is breakfast the next day. A bad meal doesn't have to be a bad day. Even if your calories are still going to be over for that, if that one meal is going to make your calories be over for the day, that doesn't mean you have to continue just to eat whatever for the rest of the day. Let's say, I'm going to throw some random numbers out here. Let's say you're eating a 2,000 calorie diet for your deficit. Normally your maintenance calories are around 2,500 calories. You're dieting at 2,000. All right. Again, just some made up numbers here. And for breakfast, you have something that is 500 calories more than your normal breakfast, but you also don't want to restrict yourself for lunch and dinner. You want to have your normal meals. So that's going to put you right up at maintenance. Okay, that's fine. No big deal. Because if remember, one high day or even one high meal often just lessens the deficit of the week. Remember, guys, like your deficit is like, I mean, we don't look at calorie counting as like how many calories have you had in an entire week. But at the end of the week, if your average calories are still below your maintenance, you're going to be in a deficit. It's just going to be a little bit less of a deficit, right? But if you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all really high calorie days, this is probably definitely going to put you at maintenance for the week, or probably even a surplus. Guys, I meant to look this number up, and I'm probably going to butcher it. I think it's like your, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is like 43% of your week or something like that. Probably butchering that. Sorry if I have, but so like meaning though is like you can't expect to get great results if your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are completely off the charts. One bad meal, one bad day, whatever. Ideally we don't want that one bad day happening every week, but whatever. We can deal with that. But guys, lastly, I want to say or two more things. The last topic I'm going to dive into, it'll be a little bit longer, but one more thing before I dive into that is be realistic with yourself. Set your non-negotiables, but also ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice? Have you asked yourself that before? Seriously. Like, have you asked yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice in this diet right now? I'm not saying you have to be super restrictive and cut out all the carbs and cut out all the alcohol, whatever it may be. But like, what are some things that you're just like, normally I would like eating some of these things, my day to day, but I actually don't really like love them. So I'm okay with not having them. Maybe that is alcohol for you. Maybe you're like, you know what? I drink maybe once every 6 months anyways. So when I'm in a deficit, I'm just not gonna worry about drinking alcohol. It's just not worth it for me. Or maybe it is you are, maybe you're not a huge fan of desserts and you're like, yeah, normally when I'm at maintenance and I'm out with some friends, I might want to get a little dessert or something like that. But honestly, I could really care less about the sweets. So maybe during your deficit, you just don't have the sweets. Again, identify what are your non-negotiables. What do you have to have? If you're someone who loves pizza and that's like your favorite food in the entire world, I recommend you trying to make that work sometimes into your deficit. But also know what you're willing to sacrifice to make this process a lot easier. All right, guys, one last option I want to dive into here is another approach you can take if you're struggling with staying on track on the weekends and you want a little bit more flexibility on the weekends, this is another option: calorie cycling. I'm not going to go into a ton of details here, but I do want to hit the basics on calorie cycling. But before I dive into this, I want you guys to know there are two people that really stick out to me that should not do calorie cycling. Number one, if you're brand new to tracking and you don't even know what your maintenance calories are or where you should be at, and you're really struggling to stick to a certain number of calories on your day-to-day, being consistent for it for 3 to 4 weeks at least, probably not a good time to try calorie cycling if you're brand new to tracking. Also, if you have a history of binge eating, this is not a good idea. Because think of it, guys, if you have a history of binge eating and you are now calorie cycling, think about that psychology in your mindset. I'm going to have a couple lower days and then, I'm getting ready. That big day's coming. This week I've been all good. I've stepped my lower calories. That high day's coming. And you start really looking forward to that. And then it could lead into a binge like behavior or overeating. And that could lead back to more guilt. And then you're back into that binge, restrict, guilt cycle. All right. So with all that being said, if you're brand new to tracking, have a history of binge eating, probably not the best idea. You can still, I definitely, check it out, listen to this, because some of these tips make sense and may sound helpful, maybe like tweak it a certain way, but for the majority, this isn't for you. All right. Calorie cycling allows for more flexibility on your higher days. It's going to allow for different types of foods. Maybe you do like having cookies, but if you're just normally eating all the same amount of calories every day, it's harder to work in that cookie versus during the, maybe if you're calorie cycling during the week, you can be okay with that. But then on the weekends, you get that extra 200-300 calories, so you can have that cookie in there. It also just helps with less burnout, again, because you're able to work in more foods that you enjoy more often. But for calorie cycling to work, you still need to be in a deficit for the week. Once you know your daily calorie goal for a deficit, multiply that by 7. That's going to give your weekly total. So then, guys, you're going to pick what you want for your higher days. So maybe that, maybe if like your normal day-to-day calorie deficit goal would be 1,800 calories, maybe that's a 2,200 calorie day. 2 or 3 of those. Your higher days are normally going to be 2 or 3. Adjust your calories to have those higher days, and then the rest are divided out into the lower days. But again, and remember, at the end of the week, you still need to be in a deficit for weight loss. Big key note here, guys, though. You should not be eating less than 1,000 calories some days just to allow for crazy high days. I don't want to hear somebody who says they're eating 800 to 900 calories a day. That way they can have the 4,000 calorie day on the weekend. Not good. It's not good for your body. And again, that just creates a more unhealthy relationship with food. And also another thing to remember here, high days are not cheat days, free days. You should still be tracking, weighing your foods, staying on track with all this. It doesn't just mean you're just like letting go of the reins and letting loose of all control. All right. That is the very, very basics of calorie cycling. I'm thinking about doing an entire episode, maybe a guest episode on calorie cycling, but I wanted to give you guys the basics of that. That is an approach that some people like to do to stay on track for the weekends. All right, guys. So that is all I have for you guys today about staying on track throughout the weekend. Remember, stick to your normal routine. Don't be too restrictive throughout the week. Set some goals for yourself, some non-negotiables for the weekends. Make some plans that don't involve just food. Don't skip your meals if you have any big dinners or something like that going out. And don't let one rough meal or one rough day snowball into the entire weekend. Right? All right, guys, that's all I have for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Again, if you have not signed up for my 3-day Fat Loss Accelerator Masterclass, highly recommend you go check that out. The link is down below and has a ton more details, what we will be discussing in each day. All that information is down below. Guys, again, if you got a lot out of this episode, it would mean the absolute world to me for you to just take a screenshot of this, share it on your stories, share it with social medias, tag me, that way I can share it and say thank you. And also leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. That means the world to me and really helps me get this podcast out to more people. All right, guys, have a fantastic rest of your day. Go kick some ass. And remember, you can do this. You can have a structured weekend and have a lot of fun still. Have a good one, guys.